Hey guys, welcome back. So for today's Mandarin 101, let's get started with a quick review on 机器系 and E with 语 sound. We've already go over this, but I do want to do another round of review for that so you guys really understand and remembers that for 机器系 and E, when you see something looks like the letter U, which is the U sound, you know it is not the U, it is the U sound. So let's get started. You can listen and repeat after me once for each. 居、取、举、句、区、取、取、去、虚、徐、许、序、吁、鱼、语、玉。The next one will be the 机器系 and E with the 约 sound. 撅、绝、撅、倔、缺、瘸、且、确、薛、学、雪、血、约、约、远、月。All right, now let's moving on to the right side. So for this combination will be the 机器系 and E with the 玉安 sound. 玉安、捐、捐、卷、卷、卷。玉安圈、圈、拳、犬、劝。玉安轩、轩、玄、选、炫。This will just be the yuan sound because the yuan will be the same as yuan. Yuan, 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 yuan. The last one will be the 机器系 and E with the 晕 sound. 晕、君、君、君、俊。晕、群、群、群、群。晕、熏、寻、寻、训。Last one. 晕、云、允、运。All right, good job. Next one, let's still go over those compound finals to see if you still remember those. Those are very fundamental, but I do like to go over it one more time. So when you see the complicated pinyin like initials with compound finals, you can record that how do you pronounce, let's say, ao and to eao. I have clear mind that when the compound finals meet with different initials, the whole pinyin actually changes. So twice for each, listen, repeat after me. I, I, a, a, ao, ao, o, o, an, an, n, n. Remember, an and n, they are from nasal ending. And for the next one, that's on, on. Remember, on, n, and on, they're all back nasal ending, and that G is a silent G. You never pronounce that. That only reminds you that when you see that something ending with G, that is back nasal ending. On, 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 on. And next one will be the compound final. E-R, E-R. And if you spell it out, that'll be ya, ya, E-R, E-R, yao, yao, E-er, E-er, yeah, yeah, E-o, E-o, yo, yo. And remember, IU equals IOU. For most of the time, you will see IU instead of IOU, but they are the same. It's just we prefer to remove the middle O. Next one, Ian, Ian, Yen. And here's another from nasal ending, Yin, Yin, Eon, Eon, Yang, Yang. This one is the back nasal ending. Young, young. And another back nasal ending. Eon, eon. And if you spell it out, that'll be yong, yong. Ua, ua, wa, uo, uo, wo, uai, uai, y, ua, ua, way. Again, way is same rule as yo, ui equals uei. And for the most of time, we just remove the middle with the letter e and make it look like the ui, but you need to know it pronounced as ua, way sound. Next, let's move on to few more compound finals with the u and ü. 乌安，乌安，湾，湾，乌恩，乌恩，温，乌昂，乌昂，汪，乌翁，乌翁，翁。All right, the last row will be the 语 compound finals. The first one, 约，约，玉安，玉安，玉恩，玉恩。And the last one, ER sounds very like you pronounce R, but you have to roll your tongue a little bit more. That'll be R, R. Okay, now let's move on to our initials and the 6 vowels. B, B, P, P, M, M, F, F, D, D, N, N. Oh, I'm sorry, that's T, T, N, N, L, L, G, G, K, K, H, H, G, G, 七，七，西，西，滋，滋，呲，呲，丝，丝，枝，枝，吃，吃，诗，诗，日，日。So the difference between the and the is when you're pronouncing your tongue is rolling, but not that much. But when you're pronouncing R, try to roll your tongue as much as you can. So your tongue should be rolling kind of like deep into your throat and it's not touching the roof of the mouth. But for R, it kind of touches it. And then lastly, let's review our 6 vowels. A, A, O, O, E, E, U, U, Ü, Ü. All right. So last week we did some of the review on the 4-character idiom and sentences. So this week we will just focus on practicing with sentences that I think that is useful in your daily life, that you can actually use it when you go out meet with your new friends or try to speak Chinese at a restaurant or at some other places. So the first sentence, how much Chinese can you speak? That will be 你会说多少中文? So as you know, we use 你 a lot. That means you. 会 is more like be able to do something, like can be able to. 说 means speak, right? So 中文 is Chinese. So what's left? That will be 多少, which means how much, right? So let's repeat after me one more time. 你会说多少中文? Now let's break down slower. 你会说多少中文? One more time with normal speed. 你会说多少中文? Great. Now let's move on to next sentence. Instead of just saying, can you speak Chinese? Let's add on to, can you speak Chinese and English? Which is quite easy, right? Because if you know Chinese is 中文, you probably already know that English is 英文. Remember that the 英 is back nasal, so you try to pronounce the 英, the ing sound from the back of the nose. 你会说中文和英文吗? So here, 吗 you can treat it more like a question mark in Chinese. When you hear someone's asking any questions, that's more like something something 吗. I'll say 75 to 90% that they are asking you a question. So every time when you hear 吗 at the end of a sentence, most likely they ask you a question. So here we have same thing 你会, right? Which means are you able to do something? Can you do something? Can you to here is to speak Chinese and English, right? So what we have says something new, which is and. It's 和. So Chinese and English should be like 中文和英文, right? Now let's break down the sentence to slower speed. Let's repeat after me. 你会说中文和英文吗? Great. Now let's speak with a little bit faster. 你会说中文和英文吗? One more time with normal speed. 你会说中文和英文吗? Okay. Now let's move on to the third sentence. Do you know one where we have quiz? So in Chinese, the same in English when I say tests, exam, quiz, also different kinds of word, different wording for that. So here, quiz, you will say 测试, 测试 or 测验, but I prefer to use 测试. I'll just put one 测试 here instead of 测验. If we break down the sentence, that will be 你知道我们什么时候有测试吗? So here, 你 same thing, you, right? So 知道 means know. 我们 means us, we. So if you know 我 means I, it just simple like a 们 as a plural, as we or us. 什么 means what. 时候 is time. 有 is have or has. 测试 quiz. Ma again as a question mark, right? So together just means do you know when will we have quiz? Or let's say, do you know what time will we have quiz? Which means when, right? So one more time, let's repeat together with slower speed. 你知道我们什么时候有测试吗? Now let's do it with a little bit faster speed. 你知道我们什么时候有 测试吗？ All right, now one more time with normal speed. Listen carefully. 你知道我们什么时候有测试吗？ Great. Now let's moving on to the next sentence. I like this one because people always say that will be Chinese. What language do you think is the most difficult to learn? Right, that will be 中文, right? So here, 你觉得什么语言最难学? So here, 你 against you, 觉得 means think. Like I think that be 我觉得. So you think will be 你觉得. Again, 什么 means what, right? So here, we always say 中文, 英文 as they're all languages, right? So how do you say language in Chinese? That'll be 语言. So here we are, another usage of the yu sound, right? When yu means with e with its yu's friend, you drop the dots and you know that they're not pronounced u, it's definitely going to be yu sound. 语言 means language in general. 最难学, so here, 难 means difficult, hard. 最 kind of means the extreme degree, so the most difficult language. So here, 学 just means learn, to study, right? So let's break down this sentence slowly. 你觉得什么语言最难学? Now let's speed up a bit. 你觉得什么语言最难学? One more time with normal speed. 你觉得什么语言最难学? All right, good job, everyone. Now let's moving on to the next slide, which is more sentence. So how can you say I can speak a little Chinese? There's two ways to do it. If you prefer to have the Beijingese or northern people's accent, which they always add R, the ER sound after certain words, like here, instead of saying 一点, you will say 一点儿, like have the really heavy, the R rolling sound for 一点. Because I am from South, like my city is very close to Shanghai, so I usually don't do the R sound because in my dialect, we just don't have that R sound that often. I would just say 我会说一点中文. So as you can hear, I just don't pronounce the R sound at all. But if you prefer to do that, you can also say 我会说一点儿中文. A little bit faster. That will be 我会说一点儿中文. All right, one more time with normal speed. 我会说一点儿中文, or you can say 我会说一点中文. Both works just depend on your preference. Moving on to the next one, I can speak English and Chinese. So if you remember here in the question, can you speak Chinese and English? We use 和 means and, right? But now for this statement, we use the transition word connection word differently. Instead of using 和 to mean and, we use 也 instead with a comma followed before that. So 也 means also. instead of 和, that'd be like, um, I can speak English, comma, also can speak Chinese. Okay? Now let's break this down slowly. 我会说英文，也会说中文。One more time, a little bit faster. 我会说英文，也会说中文。One more time with normal speed. 我会说英文，也会说中文。Okay, moving on to the next one. How do you say we have quiz on next Saturday? I think everyone at this point probably already know how to say Saturday, right? Which would be 星期六, because it's the sixth day of the week. 星期六, right? And you know how to say quiz, which was 测试 already. And you know what is 我们, which means we, right? So all you need to learn is how do you say next Saturday. That will be 下个. Normally when you want to say want to say next, you would say 下一个. But here we're kind of just like simplify it. Just say 下个星期一, that means next Monday. 下个星期二, that means next Tuesday. So here it's next Saturday, which will be 下个星期六. And 有 means have or has, right? So let's repeat after me slowly. 我们下个星期六有测试。One more time. 我们下个星期六有测试。One last time with normal speed. 我们下个星期六有测试。Great. Next one. So when people ask you, 你觉得什么语言最难学? What language do you think is the most difficult to learn? If you want to say that, oh, I think Chinese is the most difficult to learn, it's the hardest language ever, you can use this sentence. 我觉得中文最难学。So here, you know what's 中文, that's Chinese, right? 觉得, again, we said that before. 觉得 means think. So I think Chinese. 难 means hard. So 最 is another way to say the degree in an extreme level. The most difficult to learn. 学 is learn, right? So one more time with a little bit faster speed. 我觉得中文最难学。All right, one more time with normal speed. 我觉得中文最难学。You can kind of emphasize on the 最 means it's the most difficult to learn. One more time. 我觉得中文最难学。非常好。Now let's move on to the last slide. It's, let me expand the area a little bit so you can see it. So here we have more sentences and the 2 tongue twisters. The first sentence is, do you speak English? That's probably useful when you go to a restaurant or when you travel to China. You can ask people this sentence, right? So better remember that. 请问你会不会说英文？ So here, 会不会, the direct translation should be like, can you or can you not? So here just, can you speak, can you do something, just 会不会. 请问 just more polite, we just say, may I ask you, right? 请问你, can you or are you being able to what? Speak, 说 English, 英文. So same thing, if you want to replace that to Chinese, that will be 请问你会不会说中文? Right? Same thing, just replace the language. Oh, but also this sentence is useful. You can replace 说英文, like speak language, certain language. You can change it to like, can you do a painting? Do you know how to paint? Do you know how to play basketball? Any kind of sports or any kind of like skills? Like, do you know how to use Microsoft? You can say, 请问你会不会用 Microsoft? Right? So let's repeat this sentence one more time. 请问你会不会说英文? Great. One last time with normal speed. 请问你会不会说英文? So as an answer, you may hear people say that, oh, either I can speak English, oh, I'm sorry, I can't speak English. So how do you say I can speak English? That will be 我会说英文. So I can speak English, right? But how do you say I cannot? You just simply add the 不, which means no, between I and can, which means I cannot. That will be 我不会说英文. So let's do both one more time. 我会说英文. 我不会说英文. All right, so we have finished all the sentences that I think might be useful for you guys at week 9. Now let's have a little bit of fun and try some of the tongue twisters. The first one is kind of my favorite. I think that's a great example for everyone, every Mandarin beginner to practice, to really to get the 四 and the 诗 sound. So I will speak this really slowly and to see if you can follow along with me. Let's get started. 四是四，十是十，14是14，40是40。Great. So if you can follow along, I can say that you are good with all the tones and 四 and 诗 sound. But if you think you have a little bit of trouble, no worries. That's totally normal. Just maybe try to practice sentence a little bit more and try to get the tone right. And let's do this one more time with a little bit faster speed. 四是四， 十是十。14是14。40是40。So the translation is pretty straightforward, right? It's like 4 is 4, 10 is 10, 14 is 14, 40 is 40. However, if you speak in normal speed, that might be a little bit confusing and you probably need to practice a few times to get it straightforward out of your mouth. So listen carefully. 44十是十14是14 40是40。Okay, let's do it one more time. 4是4，10是10，14是14，40是40。All right, let's move on to the last sentence, which is another tongue twister for the day. So this I think is kind of easier than the 4 is 4, 10 is 10 one, but I do think it's pretty good practice for you to get used to the ing, eng, ang, the back nasal endings. So listen carefully. Listen, repeat after me. 天上一颗星。地下一块冰。屋上一只星。my bad。屋上一只鹰。墙上一排钉。Okay, so the translation is pretty straightforward. The 天上 means in the sky, right? There's E. If you know E, you probably know it's one. But however, when E have different combination with different words, E changes tones a lot. So here, instead of doing E first tone, now we use fourth tone. So 一颗星 just means one star, right? So on the sky, there's one star. 地下, so at the ground. Under the ground, there's 一块冰, which means there's a piece of 冰 is ice. And next one, 屋上一只鹰. Actually, this one's supposed to be fourth tone. So 鹰 means eagle. So 屋上 above the roof. Oh, you can say on the house, but I prefer translate to above the roof because that's more the direct translation. 一只鹰, there's a eagle. And 只 is a measuring word for animal, for something that's measurable. You will say, normally you can just say 只. And the last one is 墙上一排钉. So 墙上 is on the wall, right? And 一排 means a row of what? A 钉, nails. 钉, okay? So let's do this sentence one more time, a little bit faster. 天上一颗星。地下一块冰。屋上一只鹰。墙上一排钉。All right, one last time with normal speed. Try to see if you can follow along. 天上一颗星，地下一块冰，屋上一只鹰，墙上一排钉。Alright, now let's challenge yourself a bit. Let's do this tongue twister one more time, a little bit faster. Listen carefully. 天上一颗星，地下一块冰，屋上一只鹰，墙上一排钉。Alright, 非常好. Good job, everyone. That's all for today. And I hope you had fun with all tongue twisters and sentences. And let me know what is the thought, what do you think in our next, which is the last class.